Now, I could play the music all I want to. I could rap along to it, but this is a music show. This is a football show. You know why I'm here. Happy Monday. I hope you guys have had a great weekend, and I hope your week is off to another amazing start. You know why I'm here. It's Monday, which means one thing. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Daily Blitz's first podcast entitled Monday Evening Quarterback. I am the creator, the founder, the NFL, and the college football analyst of a company called the Daily Blitz. My name is Christian Simpson, and have another jam-packed show for you today. The first week 18 in NFL history took place. We finally got through the longest schedule in NFL history. Every team played 17 games. 17 games came. 17 games are officially gone. And that means we are now in tune and en route to playoff time. Super wild card weekend is coming up. And then tonight, we have a national championship coming. Third ranked Georgia Bulldogs, number one ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. I think this is a matchup everybody had predicted out maybe since early or mid-October, because these truly were the big boys of college football. It was Alabama, it was Georgia, and it was everybody else. Gonna get into that a little at the end of the show. A little preview before I release the official preview on the website, which is thedailyblitz.blog. We're going to talk about what caught my eye in Week 18 of the NFL. Some of the firings that have taken place amongst coaches and GMs, because there was one that kind of had me hot. We're going to go to the phone lines. I'm going to take your questions. I'm going to read some of your predictions, because I posted something on my Facebook page. Who do you guys have winning the national championship? Give me a score prediction, and give me who you think will win the game's most valuable player or most outstanding player, whatever they call it. But it's all being covered on this episode of Monday Evening Quarterback. Let's dive right into it. Like I said at the top of the show, Week 18 of the NFL. It started on Saturday. 2 games on Saturday. Everything else was played on Sunday. Let's start with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. Now, this was an important game for Kansas City, because Kansas City's lost to Buffalo, Kansas City's lost to Tennessee, and Kansas City has also lost, most recently, to the Cincinnati Bengals, right? This was a get-right game for them, and I remember telling a couple of my friends, this is a game where they need to come out and make a statement and blow Denver out the building. Like, don't feel sorry for them. They weren't going anywhere. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. The defense is looking a little shaky for Kansas City. I look at how they were playing during that 8-game winning streak, and they've reverted back to how they were playing at the beginning of the year when they were looking inconsistent. I look at the lack of communication, not being able to finish tackles, not stopping the run. And it's one thing if you have these struggles at the beginning of the year or at the midpoint of the season, but not at the tail end, as soon as playoff time is knocking at the door. I look at the offense. Tyreek Hill shouldn't have been out there, because they were saying he got injured during the warm-ups, and I'm just sitting here and saying to myself, why have him play? That's an instrumental piece to what you do offensively. Might be your best offensive weapon. Kansas City was able to escape. Yeah, the defense didn't look great, but they made a play when they had to. That fumble, Nick Bolton recovering the fumble, and one thing I noticed was the impact of Melvin Ingram on the Kansas City defense. Ever since he got to Kansas City, he's really left his mark, and I've said it in plenty of shows, and I'll say it again right now. Um, his impact has really benefited Chris Jones the most because Chris can now play in his natural position, which is on the interior of that defensive line. Let Melvin work the edge. Melvin, Frank Clark, Jaron Reed, Chris Jones. That's a pretty solid defensive line that I wouldn't want to face because all four guys have all accounted for 10 sacks at least once or twice in their careers. So Steve Spagnuolo, the former Giants defensive coordinator, he loves a good pass rush. You saw it with the Giants when they beat New England both times in the Super Bowl. And that's going to be key for Kansas City. Like, Kansas City, they have to tighten some things up if they want to get back to another Super Bowl for the third straight year. They've run the AFC the last 2 years. Could they get back there? Absolutely. Whenever you have Patrick Mahomes, you have a chance. Kansas City did win that game by a score of 28-24. Now, they needed Tennessee to lose on Sunday in order for them to obtain the 1 seed. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Patrick Mahomes has never played a true road playoff game. He's been very blessed. He's been very fortunate, to say the least. He will be the 2 seed on Sunday night, but we'll get into that after I'm done kind of recapping the regular season finale and what caught my eye and what I didn't like and whatnot. Yeah, but Kansas City did win that game by a score of 28-24. The other game on Saturday was another division rivalry. Now, most finale games in the NFL are always divisional games. That's how it's been for the last 9 or 10 years or so, and I like it. We saw the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, and I was kind of wondering, okay, how much were the starters going to play? Dallas pretty much had everything clinched up. Philly was locked into a 7 seed, but man, I don't think people realize the volume and the magnitude of this rivalry. These teams don't like each other. These fans do not like each other. There have been guys who have played for both these teams over the years. DeMarco Murray was one. Terrell Owens, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Terrell Owens was another. A lot of bad blood and a lot of history between these two. And Dallas just came out the gates firing and swinging. Dak Prescott actually set a new franchise record, 37 touchdown passes in a single season, surpassing, you guessed it, Tony Romo with 36 in 2014. Yeah, Dak looked good. The offensive line looked good. He looked to be in rhythm, and they got a lot of Cedric Wilson involved. Cedric is now going to be that new Michael Gallup for Dallas. Unfortunately, Michael went down with a torn ACL against the Arizona Cardinals in Week 17, wishing him a speedy recovery. Yeah, Dallas, they were locked in. They put up 50. They will end up winning this game by 25 by a score of 51-26. Philly was just stuck in their own way. And then again, they were already locked in to a playoff spot. We'll see both these teams next Sunday on the playoff schedule. Don't worry, I'm going to go through all of it. But I want to talk about the Sunday games because there were a couple of things that caught my eye. The first one, the Tennessee Titans. They got all they can handle from the Houston Texans, but they were able to escape for the first time since the 2008 season. The Tennessee Titans will be the 1 seed in the AFC, so the road to SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California will travel through Nashville, Tennessee, and they're getting Derrick Henry back. In a way, this injury, some people are looking at it as a blessing in disguise, and I can understand why they say that, because you think about it, last couple of years when Derek gets to this point, he's tired, he's broken down. I mean, the man accounts for close to 75-80% of their offense. Tennessee was able to survive and escape, and I'm gonna put a voucher in for Mike Vrabel, Coach of the Year, because he got the 1 seed without his best player. That speaks precedence and that speaks volume. But as I was saying, Houston did give Tennessee all they could handle, but Tennessee was able to escape with a 28-25 win over the Houston Texans. 12-5. Like I said, top seed in the AFC. Still being able to run the football, not in the volume that Derrick Henry would do it, but it's been a running back by committee type of thing. You've had Dante Foreman, you've had Hilliard. Both those guys have really been shouldering the load. How about Westbrook Akine? Being that guy that can go over the middle and just make fearless catches. And Julio Jones caught his first touchdown as a member of the Tennessee Titans yesterday. I'll admit to you, I'm kind of concerned about them because their defense, they can't rush the passer, and that's a key thing that you need to do come playoff time. You got to be able to put pressure on the opposing quarterback. If you don't do that, you will not win football games. You just can't drop guys back and allow the quarterback to nickel you and dime you all throughout the game. Yeah, you will get in trouble, but they have a week off. They're getting their best player back, so let's see what it does. I think the biggest news yesterday was the Indianapolis Colts and the dud that they just put on display yesterday. Now, I'll say this, Jacksonville has really been a horror place for the Indianapolis Colts, but they just did not look good. Give Jacksonville's defense a lot of credit because it was take away Jonathan Taylor, force Carson Wentz to beat you, and he couldn't do it. Carson he was shaky. They were throwing a lot of different looks at him. The Colts offensive line looked terrible. The Colts secondary played too much zone, and Trevor Lawrence took advantage of that, and he finally looked like he showed why he was the number one pick. I know it's been a rough year for him. Jacksonville has had a plethora of distractions with Urban Meyer. The team hasn't been that great, but they ended their year on a high note. Not only did they win the game, they clinched the number one pick in the 2022 NFL draft this upcoming April, which is absolutely huge for them. They had it last year. You got Trevor Lawrence. Now you can get another cornerstone of your franchise. So the Colts losing opened the door for another team in the AFC. Look, this is the wackiness that comes with season finales. One team loses, it creates whole new opportunities for other teams. And I'm talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I know they've been really inconsistent this year with their play. 1 week, they look dominant. Next week, they don't even bother to show up. And, last Monday was emotional seeing Ben Roethlisberger wave goodbye to the Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Because, let's face it, I don't think he has the body strength nor the arm strength to try and sustain another year in the NFL. The guys coming into the league are faster, they're bigger, they're stronger, and he's taken so many hits, and there's a lot of wear and tear and damage on his body. Let him go live the second part of his life. He's had an amazing career, and yesterday be it in Baltimore of all places. Coolest thing I saw, T-Sizzle, Terrell Suggs that is, coming back for a big rivalry game. Man, I love this Ravens and Steelers rivalry. It's hard hitting, it's physical. The fans don't like each other. The players have respect for one another, but when they're on the field and you're in between the lines, there's no love lost. There's no love found. Off the field, they're respectful to one another, but it's a war every time these two teams play. And that's the vibe that I got from this game yesterday. I thought I was watching a Steelers-Ravens game with Reed and Ray Lewis and Troy Polamalu, James Harrison, Joey Porter, Casey Hampton, all the old school players. But it was a hard-hitting defensive game. Look, say what you want about Baltimore being a disappointment, but they held on as long as they could. Injuries really derailed this team. You lose both starting running backs at the beginning of the year. Your secondary was decimated with injuries throughout the year, and Lamar was also out. Tyler Huntley came in, and Tyler Huntley did well. I think he could be a starter for another team in in 2022. I think he's good enough to do it. He makes the reads. He has a good vision of the field. He wants to throw first and then run and escape when the pressure is coming to him. The Steelers, for a minute, I thought they were going to blow this, but Ben had to turn back the page. He looked like vintage Ben, getting rid of the ball quickly, fitting the football into those tight windows, and the Steelers were able to win that game in overtime by a score of 16-13. Now, they needed some help. So they were watching. First, they were grateful to the Jacksonville Jaguars for defeating the Indianapolis Colts, but then they would need the Chargers or the Raiders to win. The game could not end in a tie, and let's just get right into that. That was the best game of the day yesterday. What a way to end Week 18. I'm so happy I had the chance to preview this game. I don't take advantage of this life. Anytime I can preview a game in our great league, I will do it. The Chargers, they're aggressive. I got to give them that much. They want to take shots down the field, and Brandon Staley is a risk taker, and being a risk taker can sometimes get you in trouble like it did last night, because he decided to go for it on 4th and I want to say 6 or 7 on his own 18-yard line, meaning he was backed up in his own red area, and he didn't get it. Punt the ball. You gave the Raiders, who can be an explosive offense at times, you gave the Raiders more than a short field. They had like a sliver of the field, and I think they ended up scoring off that turnover on downs. The Chargers didn't back down, though. They played hard. They fought hard. Got Austin Eckler the ball, as I was saying on Twitter. Get him the ball and move out the way, because he's your most dynamic playmaker in space. He can run it in between the tackles. He can bounce outside, but I think he's really effective as a receiver. He's their version of James White, because he can impact the game in so many ways. And they were getting the ball to Mike Williams. You got to give the Raiders a lot of credit. The Raiders really shut down Keenan Allen. They took him away. They were okay with Mike Williams beating him, and he made a great catch in double team while he was double teamed to get back into the game, basically. Raiders got the ball first in overtime. The game did go into overtime. Couldn't do anything with it first couple of plays. Chargers got it back. Raiders got it back after them, and that's when you saw Brandon Staley call a timeout, and the Raiders knew what they were doing. They drove the ball down the field. They ended up winning the football game to send them to the playoffs. The scenario for this game was simple. Chargers win, they would have went to Buffalo, and the Raiders would have been eliminated. But if the Raiders won, like they did, the Raiders would kick off the playoffs in Cincinnati, in the jungle, on Saturday, and the Chargers would go home. And that's exactly what happened. So the Steelers have a lot to be thankful for this week. Got the help that they needed, and then some. As far as what else caught my eye, 49ers and Rams. That was another really entertaining game yesterday, with Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers getting down by 17 early on, and then just clawing themselves back into the game. I don't know what it is. The 49ers just always seem to have a way with the Los Angeles Rams. They got back in the game. Matthew Stafford channeling his inner Detroit days, throwing an interception late in the game to seal the deal for the 49ers. The 49ers won this game in overtime as well by a score of 27-24. Looking up some stats here from that one yesterday. Okay. Yeah, Jimmy didn't look bad. Jimmy Garoppolo did play in this game. Jimmy Garoppolo, 23 of 32, 316 yards passing, 13 yards per pass attempt, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Got a cutback on the interceptions. Elijah Mitchell, they were able to run the football, 21 carries, 85 yards. Deebo Samuel, 8 carries, 45 yards. But Brandon Ayuk, 6 receptions, and 107 yards receiving. No touchdowns, though. Jawan Jennings had 94 yards receiving, and Deebo Samuel had 95 yards receiving. Did you guys also see the interception that Jalen Ramsey made when the ball ricocheted off his hands and he was able to come down with it? Now, there was a scenario in this game for really three of the teams in the NFC West. 49ers win, they were in. Didn't matter what the New Orleans Saints did, and they did beat the Atlanta Falcons as expected. So the 49ers are locked into the 6th seed, and the Rams needed the Cardinals to lose, and they had either, for the Rams to win the division, the Cardinals either had to lose or the Rams had to win, and the Cardinals did lose to the Seattle Seahawks by a score of 38-30. Entertaining football all around yesterday. Bengals rested everybody, lost at the hands of the Cleveland Browns. Buffalo Bills ended up winning the division yesterday for the second straight year. They beat the New York Jets by a score of 27-10. Buffalo's starting to run the football, and I like that. Patriots losing to the Miami Dolphins 33-24. They lost 3 of their final 4 games at the end of the year. Buccaneers cruised, and because of the Rams losing their game, the Buccaneers are now the 2 seed in the NFC. I said at the top of the show, the Titans beat the Texans. The Packers. Now, this was a meaningless game for Green Bay. Really didn't mean much. No matter what happened, they were locked into that 1 seed regardless. And they look good, but Detroit, it's been a rough year for them, but they play hard. I like what's in store for them. I think they have a bright future ahead of them. I think Dan Campbell was the right hire for this job. I think they play hard for him, and they close out a tough year with a win against a quality opponent in the Green Bay Packers, the number 1 seed Green Bay Packers. So, with that being said, let's talk about the playoffs a little bit before I go to the phone lines. In the AFC, the 1 seed is the Tennessee Titans. The 2-seeded Kansas City Chiefs will play the number 7 seed Pittsburgh Steelers. We just saw that matchup a couple of weeks ago. The Kansas City Chiefs dominated the Pittsburgh Steelers by a score of 36-10. I thought that was their most complete win of the year. The 3-seed Buffalo Bills will play the 6-seeded New England Patriots. Now, I had a feeling we were going to get this matchup once again. Buffalo, New England, and Buffalo's figured New England out. I'm just going to put it to you guys like that now. What you saw from Buffalo the first time they played, when the Patriots just ran the football down New England's throat, that wasn't Buffalo. But what you saw in Foxborough, how they were able to play defense and move the football down the field with a balanced attack, and the offensive line was giving Josh Allen forever and a day. That was Buffalo, and that was their, I think, turning point down the stretch. They won out. They won the division. So that's the 3-6 in the AFC. The 4-5 matchup, which will kick off Wild Card Weekend, that is the Cincinnati Bengals, who won the AFC North and shocked us all. They will be hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, all 3 matchups in the AFC are rematches from the regular season. Don't know if you realize that, but yeah, that's what I'm here for, to tell you things in case you didn't know it, because sometimes I learn things from other people as well. Now, let's go to the NFC side of things. The Green Bay Packers are the 1 seed for the 2nd straight year. Since Matt LaFleur has become the head coach, they've had nothing but first-round buys. So, Green Bay is the 1 seed. The defending champs will kick off their title defense. The 2nd-seeded Tampa Bay Buccaneers will play the Philadelphia Eagles. regular season rematch. Tampa won that game, but both teams are a lot different. This is the one I think I'm looking forward to the most. The 3-seeded Dallas Cowboys, the NFC East Division champions, are playing the San Francisco 49ers. Now, you guys know I'm kind of a history nerd. I love nostalgia. I love classic things, and this is as classic of a matchup as it gets. Some of the greatest players in NFL history have played for these teams. The Joe Montanas, the Ronnie Lotts, the late Dwight Clark, God rest his soul, Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens played for both these teams. Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, Deion Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Charles Haley played for both these teams, if I'm not mistaken. And a lot of those guys I listed are legends of the game, and they're Pro Football Hall of Famers. They all have those iconic gold jackets and busts in Canton, Ohio. So that's one I'm really looking forward to. And then for the first time ever, next Monday night, we get the 5th-seeded Arizona Cardinals going to LA to face their division rival, the Los Angeles Rams. There's nothing like a divisional showdown in the playoffs. It's almost a little personal. Both these teams split the regular season matchups. Arizona went into SoFi, and that was a game that really made me pay attention to the Arizona Cardinals. And then a couple of weeks ago, back on December 13th, the Los Angeles Rams got their revenge, and they beat the Arizona Cardinals. So let's see who takes the third and most crucial game of it. So I want to know, when you guys watch this, put in the comments what 2 playoff games, one from each conference, are intriguing you the most. I also want to know your predictions, and I do have a bracket contest coming up where you guys predict everything and regarding the NFL playoffs, all from the wild card round, super wild card round, to the Super Bowl, who you have winning the game, and you can send it to me, and the winner gets a free piece of merchandise from yours truly. Something I always look forward to running, so I'll post more about that later on during the week. With that being said, let's go to the phone lines, man. I had some great convo the last couple of days with some people. Let's see what they had to say. Now back to the phone lines, caller. How can I help you today?
Hey, Christian, my name's Gino. I just got a couple NFL questions I'd like to cover, man. You know, I've been going back and forth with some of my friends on some of these topics.
Okay.
I want to get your perspective on all of this.
Okay. Well, Gino, first off, welcome to Monday Evening Quarterback. I'm glad to have you. So, ask away. What's your first question?
Yeah, thanks for having me. My first question is, now that Antonio Brown came out and gave his most recent statement about how he was being released from the team in the middle of a game, what do you think about that?
I mean, there's so many sides and angles to this story. You're hearing he was upset because of, the incentives and the money. You're hearing he wasn't healthy. And I think that ankle story might be true, because remember, he missed about 6 to 7 games with the ankle injury. So that's the thing that's kind of concerning. So I'll say this. I believe both sides are wrong. And this is just my personal and humble opinion. Because one, if you're a coach and you know a key player of yours can't get in, you factor that into consideration. You don't try to force him back in. But Antonio wasn't a saint in this either, because he acted out, he acted up, and everybody knows he's been a little bit of a cancerous player the last couple of years. You see what I'm saying? So you can truly go either way. That's really the only perspective I have on it. Now, I will tell you this. I think he signs elsewhere and gets a league vet. He's too talented not to be on a roster. Yeah, the issues are there, but what he can do on a football field, I mean, I can honestly sit here and say he was one of those pieces that helped Tampa in their offense a little bit more last year, and then winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was going to be like a 2-part question. This one, he was going to get signed somewhere else after the whole walking off the field in the middle of the game and the way he went about his actions, or do you think he definitely will get signed elsewhere next season?
I think he's going to get signed elsewhere. I mean, I just got a notification that he cleared waivers today, so don't be surprised if Dallas is in on him. Dallas is without Michael Gallup for the rest of the year because he tore his ACL, and Dallas is missing that presence over the middle of the field. And Antonio is a veteran, and he would bring championship pedigree to that team because he has a ring and he's played in the big game.
Yeah, I can see him going to Dallas. That would actually be a good fit with Dak and side Cooper and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, for sure. All right, what else you got for me, Gino?
We're going to drop with the Titans here.
Okay.
Does Derrick Henry's return give them a solid push in the playoffs, or is that toe of his going to be bothersome and it's going to hurt them?
I would say it would give them a push, but I don't necessarily trust them because when you take away Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill can't take over a game. Let's just put it that way. He needs that running game to get it going, but honestly, I don't applaud injuries or anything like that. I've never been that type of guy, and I never will be, but Derrick's injury is a little bit of a blessing in disguise. Because think about it. If he's healthy right now, there's a lot of wear and tear on his body because he accounts for more than 75% of what the Titans do offensively. So now you bring him back, you get that 1 seed, he's well rested, and he's ready to go. But when teams sit on that line of scrimmage and they take Derrick away, can Ryan Tannehill be that guy? I just don't see it. And their defense is a little too up and down for my liking. But, I mean, he pushes them in the right direction. I'll say that much.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? I kind of feel the same thing. The only thing I'm worried about, though, is I have a feeling that he may be rushing back too soon. But, I mean, if he thinks he's ready, then let's see what he can do.
Absolutely. And, man, I think when Derrick is healthy, or when any superstar in any sport is healthy, I just think the game is greater. Like, everybody's talking about Derrick. And on a previous phone call a couple of months ago, I was talking to somebody, and I was telling them, hey, I think he might be his own breed, because somebody on Facebook tagged me in something, and they said he was a modern-day Christian Okoye. That's the Nigerian nightmare who played for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I said, absolutely not, with all due respect, because he's stronger and he's faster. He gets stronger as the game goes on. I've had people come to me, and they say, Christian, Derrick is a modern day Jerome Bettis. No, he's faster and way stronger as the game goes on. Like, Derrick Henry might be in a class all by himself. I've never seen a guy do what he does, Gino.
Oh man, I love watching that guy run. I'm not a Titans fan at all, to say the least, but I'm a fan of Derrick Henry.
Right.
The runs he has and the strength he has behind him, and to be that big for his, with that speed, it's incredible.
Yeah, it definitely is. You got any other questions for me, sir?
Yeah, we'll just drop to the last one. Who's your favorite to win the Super Bowl and why?
Wow, you're really gonna put me on the spot like that, huh?
Yeah, I'm throwing it out. Let's get it over with.
Right now, I'm gonna lean toward Kansas City, and I'll explain why. Because they're playing with more control, they're playing with more balance, and they're playing with more poise. You look at how they played at the beginning of the year, in September and October. There was no communication amongst their defense. The greatest defenses in the league today have communication. Everybody's on the same page. You didn't see that. You hit that winning streak, excluding Sunday when they lost to the Bengals. Everybody's on point. They're finishing tackles. Very heartbreaking loss. But defensively, I just saw so much improvement because they're playing defense. They're getting after the passer. They're not doubling guys, so they're able to simplify things. You see what I'm saying? Like, they can keep safeties back, and they can play man-to-man coverage. But everybody's saying the Chiefs' offense isn't back. No, Mahomes, he's playing game manager because he doesn't have to play hero ball. Look at all those times when the Chiefs were playing defense, when they weren't playing defense. They needed that offense to get the home run play, to take pressure off the defense. You see what I'm saying? Now, I just see a completely more controlled and balanced unit. So I'm going to say Kansas City.
Yeah, you know what? I hate to say it, man, being a Bears fan, but I could really see Green Bay making that push. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams is like an unstoppable 1-2 combo.
Yup.
And then you throw Aaron Jones in the backfield, and then what's the backup? A.J. Dillon, who comes in to beat Jones. That rookie's playing good football himself. Man, I really think Green Bay, once they get that the offensive line back, I think they said Bakhtiari has a chance to return sometime this season, possibly.
Yeah, I heard that too. And you know what?
It's just going to strengthen their offense
right.
more and give Aaron Rodgers more time in the pocket than he already has now.
Right. Well, I kind of want to.
It's hard to say this.
Yeah, I bet you're probably wanting to throw up after this, don't you?
I might go home and stick my finger down.
Yeah, I can see it happening. But look, I'll tell you this, Gino. I called Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers pitch and catch. It's that easy with them. Aaron can just lob it up, and he knows Devontae is going to come away with it. They run the football, but their defense is also much improved. Still trying to see if that can hold up in the most important parts of the season, which is the playoffs, because they always do this. They breeze through the regular season, and then they
playoffs come
and they collapse.
They fall apart. Exactly.
Now, Gino, before I end every phone call, sir, I always ask people what their favorite thing about the Daily Blitz is. So now I present that question to you. What would you say is your favorite thing about the Daily Blitz?
You know, I love how you can literally answer any question and you give an unbiased answer. And the knowledge you have on sports in general it's actually fantastic. And, you know, I love having conversations with you of sports, even if it's not football related. You know, we can talk basketball, we can talk football all day, and it's just everything you cover is great. You do great work.
Man, I truly appreciate those kind words. I'm so glad I was finally able to have you on Monday Evening Quarterback. And like I always say, the doors of MEQ are always open to you. I hope the first week of 2022 was great to you, and I hope this year is great to you and your family and those who you love and those who love you back. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, and I hope your first week is going well as well, and I hope everything's going good for you and the family as well.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. Man, the phone lines are buzzing. I have a guy who's been on the show once before, but I always say the doors of Monday Evening Quarterback are always open. Joe, you're back on the line. What's going on, man?
Hey, Christian. What's up, man? As you know, my name is Joe Griswold, and I'm a big-time 49ers fan. I'm really excited for this last week of the season.
Okay.
I love your preview. Hopefully your prediction is right. Hopefully we do win. But I think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, I do too. And it seems like every time the 49ers play the Rams, the 49ers always physically dominate the Rams from the first start of the game, from the first whistle until the final whistle. And the 49ers are good at that. You know, I remember a couple of years. Go ahead.
It's kind of funny because, you know, you look at the 49ers and the Rams are clearly a better team on paper, but we just seem to have their number.
I think so too.
A similar phenomenon happened this year with us in the Seahawks. You know, we're obviously a better team than Seattle, but I just think that Seattle has our number psychologically. So I definitely see the same relationship with us in the Rams. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to that. I want to battle California. It's almost like LA and San Francisco continue, because I know you're also a diehard San Francisco Giants fan as well. But
revenge. Warriors did not sleep.
Now, when we spoke in the email thread, you told me that you had a very particular question for me. So
yeah. So, as you know, big time Niners fan. The future of the Niners is obviously going to be Trey Lance.
Okay.
But I don't want to talk about Trey right now. I want to talk about Jimmy, the guy that's currently our starter.
Okay.
Obviously, he's had a pretty solid year. There might be, a pretty significant trade market for him come the offseason, considering all the teams that need quarterbacks. So my question to you is, what team do you think would be interested in Jimmy? And what team do you think he could thrive with if we traded him away?
Wow, that's a good question.
I have an idea. I have a team in mind, but I want to hear what you're
Okay. Let's say things don't work out with Minnesota and Kirk. If they want to part ways, you could say Minnesota, because he would have a nice nice running game to lean on. Top 3 running back in Dalvin Cook, and 2 stud receivers on the outside, Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, or should I say Mr. Gritty himself. You can see him maybe in Pittsburgh because Ben Roethlisberger more than likely is retiring at the end of this year. Look, he's had a great career, but it's time. I mean, the time has come for him to look into the next phase of his life. He's given our league 18 years of wonderful service, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer 5 years from now. So that's another one. You could look at potentially the Saints, because my thing is, Jameis is good, but I don't know if I could trust Jameis Winston in a big game. Whereas Jimmy Garoppolo's been in a Super Bowl. So I'm going to say those 3 teams.
Okay. I was actually thinking he'd be a really good fit on Washington.
I can see that.
The fact that their defensive line is stacked. All those first rounders. You look at the fact that they have a really good running game, Gibson. You look at the fact that they have a really smart coach with Ron Rivera.
Right.
Very similar to what the 2019 Rams were.
Right.
And I think that was obviously the peak of Jimmy's career. So I just think that the way things are currently set up in Washington is ideal for him. Obviously, he'll be the first quarterback of whatever the new name of the Washington football team is, which is going to be announced, in the coming weeks. But I definitely think Washington. New Orleans could be a fit. The only thing that worries me about New Orleans is their cap situation.
Yeah.
They've been over the cap for so long. He does have a pretty significant cap hit, so we'll have to make some magic work. I mean, know the suits, know what they're doing, so they might be able to make that happen. But I definitely like where your head is at, but I do think that Washington was the team that I had in mind in terms of what the best fit for him might be.
Look, I can't disagree with that for everything that you laid out, and that's actually a really good answer. You said it better than I could. But, Joe, anything else you got for me, bud?
No, man. I was just ready for Week 18. It's going to be a great game. I might have a couple of heart attacks, so I'll let you know if I'm still alive on Sunday.
Please do. I can't.
As always, love your show, love your podcast, love your articles, so keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming back to Monday Evening Quarterback. Like I always say, the doors of MEQ were always open. I'm glad I was able to talk to you, and Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year to you. Have a great day.
You too, bud. Yep. Caller, you're on with the analyst on Monday Evening Quarterback. How can I help you today?
Christian, my man, it has been way too long. It is Mike Mercado from Sports from the Couch of the Sports. Keep it going. How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. You're finally in on MEQ. So let me introduce this guy once again. Let me tell you how I know this guy. Me and this guy have gone back, I want to say, since 2012, 2013. So we have quite a few years of friendship, and he's the reason why I'm on the Sports Cubicle. Well, one of the reasons why, and then I've also contributed to his show, Sports from the Couch. You guys have often heard me refer to a gentleman by the name of XVI Chapel. This is him right here. What's going on, XVI?
Christian, I need to vent with one of the best in the business that covers the industry like a blanket that is the National Football League in college football, because the Chicago Bears once again waste this season, and now they are going to waste an off-season bringing in Ryan Pace in a promotional way. They are not getting rid of him, although the rumors seem to be true that Matt Nagy will be let go as head coach of the Monsters of the Midway, but that is only in name because they have not played that way. 2 playoff appearances under Ryan Pace and no victories. Matt Nagy refusing to change his playbook for his rookie quarterback, and on 4th and 1, a microcosm of this entire regime, going for it 4 different times, and on 3 of those different times when you didn't succeed, passing the ball on 4th and 1. Christian, I got a lot to talk about.
Oh, man, it sounds like it. Well, I'm with you on Matt Nagy, being relieved of his duties. It's time. They need a change. And after 2018, he never really elevated his playbook or added anything to it. And I'll tell you this, as a former defensive player, I would have loved to have played the Bears during Matt Nagy's tenure, because I know what's coming. Like, seriously, and I'll even tell you this, a couple of months ago, this was after the Bears played the Browns, someone asked me, who's more to blame? Is it Matt Nagy or is it Ryan Pace? And I said it's hands down Nagy, because he's not catering to his quarterback's needs. Like, Justin Fields is a mobile quarterback. He needs to use his feet, and you're trying to turn him into something he's not, which is a pocket guy. So it's just been a mess at Hallis Hall, and I can't wait to see what happens next during this offseason.
What I'm fascinated to see is what happens in this hiring process now. Is Ryan Pace going to be in the meetings when they're trying to find a head coach? Are they going to find a general manager? And if it comes down to Ted Phillips and George McCaskey once again making the decision, you're just going in a circle. And I think this is what's going to scare Bears fans this entire offseason.
Right.
So unless you're able to find Jim Harbaugh or Vic Fangio to come together as your head coach and defensive coordinator, it's going to be a long offseason for the Charter franchise in the National Football League.
Yeah, it could. Or here's a name to consider as well. Why not Ryan Day from Ohio State? Justin Fields had a lot of success under him, and he was a Heisman candidate under him at Ohio State. He knows how to use Justin. But you and I have talked about this on the microphone and off the microphone. Possibly a lot of NFL teams, they're going to be afraid to go the college route because of what happened with Urban Meyer.
And I think if you're the Chicago Bears, you need any kind of structure, any type of respect. And I'm not sure right now. Maybe Ryan Day may be the second coming of Bill Belichick. But what the Bears need now is they keep using the word culture. And culture just isn't making things seem better on the outside for PR sake. It means knowing to put down a receiver and touch the receiver when they are put and you didn't tackle them. It comes down to not having stupid penalties and bumping into a referee. It's going for fourth down and not missing it 3 different times for passing when you're 4th and 1. They need to find somebody that's going to establish true culture in the National Football League, and I am fascinated if they keep doing this and it's the same people making the decisions. I'm not too sure, but we're going to have it covered over on Sports from the Couch and the Sports Cubicle, and of course Christian Simpson, the one and only, my favorite person from Springfield, the best Simpson there is. Christian, it's going to be fun to talk about it all offseason with you.
Absolutely.
And the wild card weekend, it's going to be really crazy to see how this all plays out.
Oh, definitely. And you guys heard him. I will be on the Sports Cubicle. I promote this every Sunday on What's on Tap and on every episode of Monday Evening Quarterback, how you can keep up with me on the airways. Love working and contributing for these guys. But Mikey, you got anything else football-wise for me?
I think that's it, my guy. I think we'll be able to talk. We'll actually be having you on the show before we make our playoff predictions. So anybody over at the Daily Blitz, make sure you guys are following us over at Sports from the Couch and the Sports Cubicle. I'm on Twitter at Mike at Media, Instagram Mike Mercado Media. Find the podcast on all major podcast platforms at Mercado Airwaves Network. And Christian, I think now that I got a chance to talk to your amazing audience, having this crossover opportunity, one of the things that I love about what you're doing here is the passion. It's being in detail. It's being able to see you grow this brand, but in a way that shows the love for football. And we see every single season you're getting better. The content is getting better. Your confidence in your knowledge of the game. And as the game maturates, as the game evolves, so do you and so does your audience. So I'm so proud to see the work that you've done. I'm so proud to have just seen the audience participation in what you're doing. And of course, always on Sports from the Couch, the Sports Cubicle over at Mercado Airwaves. It's been a pleasure, and it's going to be a continued pleasure all the way to the Super Bowl and then into draft season.
Man, I can't wait. I can't thank you for those words. Those words really moved me and touched me. That was an amazing testimonial, because you just took the words right out of my mouth. Because normally I always ask people before I end every phone call, what is their favorite thing about the Daily Blitz? And I'm going to count that answer, but I'm going to switch up the question right now. There is a national championship on board. Who are you rooting for and why? Are you taking Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs, or are you taking Nick Saban's Crimson Tide?
I am rooting for Georgia, but Alabama wins this game 31-24. Alabama wins another championship under Nick Saban.
Okay. You know what? I cannot wait to release that preview, and I'll make sure you're one of the first people to see it. Mikey, thank you so much for coming on Monday Evening Quarterback, and as I always like to say, the doors of MEQ are always open to you, and we're going to have to do this again, okay?
Love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Thank you so much.
Man, I love being able um, to talk on the phone with a lot of loyal listeners, whether it's been people that I contribute for, or whether it's friends that I've had for the last couple of years. And man, it's just always so amazing. You probably listen to those convos and you say, I want that to be me. That can absolutely be you. Let me know. Email me, c.simpson@thedailyblitz.blog, or if you have my personal info, get in contact with me. Tell me you want to set up a phone call for MEQ, which is Monday Evening Quarterback, and we'll definitely do that. Now, before I get into anything college, because there's quite some unfinished business to discuss with college football, the coaching carousel in the NFL. In case you don't know, every Monday after the season finale in the NFL is known as Black Monday, when teams decide to relieve head coaches of their duties, and 3 were relieved today. Mike Zimmer of the Minnesota Vikings, I thought that was way overdue because his play calling just wasn't all that great, and they really weren't going anywhere underneath him. Yeah, they won a couple of division titles. His story's been great, but I think it's time. I think they need somebody younger. Matt Nagy, Chicago, you can rejoice. Matt Nagy was relieved. He was fired by the Chicago Bears today, and Brian Flores was fired. That one surprised me. I think the Dolphins are really gonna regret that one because this guy's won 19 games in the last 2 years. They won 10 last year. They go 9-8 this year, and Matt Rule, who has won 10 games total in 2 years with the Carolina Panthers, is still their coach. But that's none of my business. I'm just stunned, man. I thought Brian deserved one more year. You know, I know they didn't make the playoffs in either year he was there, but it doesn't matter where he goes. I think a staff will benefit from that man's presence. Don't know what's going to happen with Matt Nagy. I think he's just fit to be a coordinator more than he is a head coach. And Mike Zimmer, same. I think he's a coordinator at this point. Yeah, he has the experience, but just because you have the experience, it doesn't mean you're worthy of being a head coach. I wanted to make sure I touched on that, the coaching carousel, and I have a feeling more is going to happen in the next couple of weeks and going into the off season. But let's talk about it. I saved the best for last. There is a national championship tonight. It's always an honor for me to preview and break down these national championships. I still remember the first one I was able to break down. I believe it was Alabama and Notre Dame in Miami when A.J. McCarron was playing for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and Everett Golson was the quarterback for Notre Dame, and then there was Manti Te'o and his girlfriend. I said that to be petty. I think y'all remember that story. But yeah, I preview everyone since then. I'm definitely looking forward to this one. Now, when I look at the matchup, these two teams did play in the SEC championship, and Georgia. So here's an interesting fact: Georgia gave up a total of 30 points in the month of October alone. Okay, in the SEC championship game, they get 41 up to Alabama. Georgia just could not get home to Bryce Young. That was the determining factor of the football game, just allowing Bryce to sit back in that pocket and have forever and a day to throw the football. Georgia's defense, their secondary, just also did not look all that great either, but they bounced back nicely in a dominant, physical, and angry way against Michigan. I saw one of my good buddies on Facebook, Don Thomas, say that Georgia might be the best team he's ever seen up close. He's a diehard Michigan fan, so and he was at that game in Miami a couple of weeks ago. I think the key tonight for Georgia is going to be getting pressure on Bryce Young and keeping Stetson Bennett protected, because if you look at the SEC title game, Stetson Bennett was under consistent duress throughout that game. He had no time to throw, so that offensive line is going to have to come ready to play. Alabama, their offense is going to look different now. There's no John Mechie III, so they're going to rally around Jamison Williams and Brian Robinson Jr. I think everybody knew this game was coming. Everybody knew it would come down to these two. And Kirby Smart is similar to Jim Harbaugh in a way. Remember how Jim Harbaugh had the talk surrounding him? He could never win the big game. He could never beat Ohio State. And then he finally did. Kirby's never beat his former boss, Nick Saban. They've met in 2 SEC championship games. Alabama's won both of them, and they met in the national championship a couple years ago when we were introduced to Tua Tagovailoa. I want to know who you guys have winning the football game tonight. So excited for it. I have a preview coming your way within the next 20 or 25 minutes. So yeah, I can't wait to reveal that. I wrote that about 2 weeks ago, and it's definitely it's here. The anxiety is up, the adrenaline is pumping. I almost feel like I'm getting ready to play. I can't even imagine what those kids are feeling right now. This is the biggest game of many of these young kids' careers, and Indianapolis is about to be rocking tonight. Usually I have questions around this time, but no one sends me questions anymore. Here's one from this morning that I said I would answer on the show. And I can't find it now. So with that being said, I'm going to end the show right now. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in once again to Monday Evening Quarterback. How can you keep up with me? Log on to the website, which is thedailyblitz.blog. Follow us on Twitter, which is @dailyblitz_61. Make sure you're up to date with me on there tonight, because I will be tweeting live my thoughts and analysis, during the game. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com. Hit the like, go to the search box and type in The Daily Blitz, and follow us on Instagram @thedailyblitz_61. Normally, this is the time when I would be gearing up to go on the Prime, but I'm not doing that tonight because I have a national title game to cover. But go check those guys out on Prime Sports World, the Facebook page, dropping the most consistent content in all of sports podcasting on Facebook. But when I'm on, you can catch me on there every Monday night and Tuesday night with David Hoffman, TJ Hopkins, Israel Rivera, and Matt James. Every Wednesday, you can catch me on The Nerd Zone with Ronnie Kumpf, John Danzo, Ryan Shaw, and Christopher Lawrence. Fridays during the regular season, you can catch me on College Football Showdown with Israel Rivera, Matt James, and when he feels like showing up, TJ Hopkins. And every Sunday, you can catch me on What's on Tap, my IGTV series that I film, where I look back sometimes at what caught my eye in football, and I look ahead to what's on tap for the football schedule. And then you can also catch me on the Sports Cubicle on WCPT 820 AM in Chicago, Illinois, with who I was just talking to on the phone lines, Michelangelo Mercado. He promoted it. I will be back on with those guys within the next couple of days. You can catch me on the Sports Cubicle with Michelangelo Mercado, sorry to repeat myself, Devin Tingle, and Professor Buckets himself, Paul Shavari. We're going to be talking all things NFL playoffs, NFL playoff previews, game previews at that are coming starting tomorrow. Can't wait to get into that. I have a game preview to release, as I just said, for the national championship. I want to know who you guys have winning the Natty. Send it to me, whether it's on my socials. All my social media accounts will be listed in the description of this video. You know, I always end every episode with a shout out. My amazing family, my beautiful mother, love you so much. My dad, thank you for all you do. Always proud of you, and I love you to life. My siblings, my beautiful sister Taylor, always proud of her. She's really working and just trying to make a difference and making herself better in the process. 23 years old, and she's such a go-getter, and that's actually inspired me, and she doesn't even know. My other siblings, Sean, Janice, Tanisha, shout out to Robert Butler, Jason Tyree, Candace Carter, Kimmel Fryer, my other guys, Corey Harris, Deshaun Elliott, my former advisor, Joshua Johnson, everybody that I contribute for. Thank you for allowing me to come onto your shows and talk about what it is that I love. Shout out to my co-analyst who I'm about to talk to in a little bit, Cole Johnson, and our moderator D. Both those guys really keep me on my toes, and they've made me a better analyst. But everybody that I just listed has also made me a better man. Rob Carter, Alex Bennett, Rob's cousin Alex, who I call Esquire, and Mike Griffin. These guys have always been supportive of me, and they told me they wanted to see the preview as soon as it was published, and I'm a man of my word. Enjoy the game tonight. I cannot wait to talk about the game on the airwaves and back here on Monday evening quarterback next week, God willing. I'm Christian Simpson. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I've had recording it. If you want to be on the show, contact me. We will set up a phone call and we will pre-record it, and then you will be able to hear your voice on the show. Guys, enjoy the game. Like I said, stay safe and stay warm, please. Again, send me your predictions on who you have winning the game, and I will see you guys next week. Like I said, God willing. Great time for football. Natty tonight. Super wild card weekend on deck coming, and I got you covered. I'm breaking everything down. I can't wait to get to work. So I will see you guys soon. Enjoy the game. Stay safe. Stay warm. And eat good food, most importantly. What's the point of watching the game if you're not going to eat good? I will see you guys next week, God willing.